Hi, this is Tutor Nick B, and this is lesson 259. Today we're going to look at the difference between morals and ethics. Okay, let's take a look at the note here. Morals focuses on personal principles or beliefs of right and wrong. Ethics focuses on the behavior of a particular person in a particular situation. And this is one where students often ask me, like, what's the difference between morals and ethics? Because both of them do have something to do with right and wrong. But morals, again, this focuses on personal principles or beliefs. What somebody personally believes. This focuses more on behavior of people in certain situations. So let's continue so we can show some examples. Um, Continue here. The word ethics is often used in regard to the practices of business, medicine, and law. Yeah, we often might hear this as unethical business practices. Or medicine. Sometimes doctors have to study the ethics of medicine, basically. You never really hear them say that they study the morals of medicine. It's usually the ethics of medicine. Same thing in law. They might study the ethics of it. Well, let's continue. Morals can vary from one society to another, or even within the same society. For example, many conservatives in the U.S. may consider abortion to be immoral, but many liberals may consider it to be okay. So this is even within the same society. You may have different people have different morals of what they believe is right and what they believe is wrong. And of course, in other countries, like for example, maybe in India, they think cows are sacred. You can't eat a cow, so they might think if somebody else ate a cow, that might be immoral. So clearly, in different countries, they sometimes have varying morals, but even within the same country, you could have varying morals. So morals is more related to your personal beliefs of what you think is right and wrong. All right, let's continue here. Ethics focuses more on correct conduct. Conduct is a more formal word for behavior of someone in a professional situation. For example, many people would consider it to be unethical for a psychiatrist to start a romantic relationship with his or her patient. Yeah, now in this situation, um, if as long as the psychiatrist or the patient is not married, it may not be considered immoral. If they're both consenting adults, you may not consider it immoral, but you would consider it to be unethical. Why is it unethical? Well, for a number of reasons. You don't know if a psychiatrist could really treat the patient the way he's supposed to treat the patient if he's having a romantic relationship. It would probably interfere with his judgment. And there's a very good chance that you might really mess up or screw up the patient even more. So this would really be something that's considered unethical to do. I mean, you could think of it the same way if a university teacher was having an affair with one of his students, again, who's maybe above 18 or 19 years old, so they might be considered an adult. But because he's in the class and he has to give her a grade, this would definitely be considered unethical. Again, assuming that both were consenting adults and neither one was married, some people might not consider it immoral. All right, let's continue here. It would also be considered unethical for a doctor to not try to save a critical patient, or I should say a patient that's in critical condition, just so he could use his body parts for other patients waiting for donated organs. Yeah, I remember I listened to an interview once of a doctor who said sometimes doctors do this. If they came in with a patient who's in critical condition and they think, well, maybe there's only 30% chance you could save this patient, for example. They think, well, maybe don't try so hard. Maybe it might be easier to sell his organs, give his organs to somebody else. In this sort of sense, we might say that the doctor is playing God. This would definitely be considered to be unethical. I don't know, maybe some people might even consider it immoral at the same time. So sometimes it could cross the line for both. But like the other examples I gave, it might just be unethical, but may not be immoral. Or let's take a look at the last one. If a company knowingly had poisonous substances in their food products, and they still produced them and sold them, that would be unethical. Definitely, that would be unethical business practices. Probably also cross the line into illegal. Some of these may be illegal. Some of these may not be illegal. This one could possibly be immoral at the same time. But again, we usually use unethical really in reference to conduct, especially conduct of professional people in businesses or in law, in medicine, where this is their decisions that they have to make. And morals focuses more on your personal belief of what you think is right and wrong. And like I say, morals can vary. But even some people that may, like here, where you might have conservatives and liberals, they may have different ideas about what's immoral. Both of them may consider it unethical for a psychiatrist to have a romantic relationship with their patient. So they may even agree on that. Anyway, I hope this kind of clarifies it for you. I hope you can kind of clearly see more of a difference of how we might use the two. Okay, anyway, I hope it was informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.